Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
So I'm going to talk about timeshare vacation packages.
I got a question for you. What is your best tip of how to actually get through one of these things and say no?
Like we stand there in front of the mirror and we're like, we're going to say no. Yeah, we're going to say no. We like pep ourselves up. Just don't go to it. Don't buy it because it's not worth it.
And later.
Final Instagram question. How do I get my resistant P2 on board?
You have all their information.
How about you, Serena?
After sitting and sleeping in a lie flat seat for 10 plus hours, I don't think anybody has ever said, I think I would rather pay for coach.
But if sitting in the back next to the lab for a 6+ hour flight in coach does not change the mind of your P2, it's time to find a new P2. That's what I have to say to you.
Now, let's get to the points. From passion for points, it's Serena. From points to travel expert, it's Kay Holani. From travel sergeant, it's Miguel. From Nicole's travel tips, it's Nicole. And from seat to a suite, it's Mitch Shannon.
Hello and welcome to Let's Get to the Points, audio and video podcast, bringing you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, and I am joined by the very best Instagram social media content creators in all things points, miles, and travel. First up, from Passion for Points, it's Serena.
Hi.
From Points to Travel Expert, it's Kay Helani.
Aloha mai kako.
From the Travel Sergeant, it's Miguel.
What's up?
And from Nicole's Travel Tips, it's Nicole.
Hi, everyone.
Before we start, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe now to our podcast wherever you watch or listen. You'll find the video and audio versions on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify at Let's Get to the Points. Also, connect with us, drop us a DM on any one of our social media channels. Let's do it. Let's get to the points. We love reading your comments and appreciate you sharing our content. And recently, the honeymoon hackers caught our eye by sharing the best way to watch our show, as they had done it by their living room TV, which we all loved because we all work really hard to make this video podcast the best it can. And seeing it on that huge TV made us very happy. So thank you to the honeymoon hackers for sharing that. Also, our Kay Helani, she's been very busy at work with our YouTube channel, making it much easier to search when you're looking for certain segments or topics that we have covered. So thank you, Kay Helani.
You're welcome.
A lot's been going on with summer travel and points and miles, so let's get right to it with Miguel. And you're going to talk with us tonight about the American Express Fine Hotels and Resorts credit. What do you got about that?
So what I wanted to talk about is statement credits that sometimes come with a credit card, and how it's okay to not have to use them all. So the Fine Hotels and Resorts credit is a $200 credit that applies for either the hotel collection or Fine Hotels and Resorts with the American Express Platinum card. Now, this only comes on the personal card, not the business version of the Platinum card. So my wife has this Platinum card, and last year I was really trying to get the most out of this card by using up all these credits. So I was trying to plan something so we could use it. I was trying to prepay a stay so we could get that credit, but I ended up skipping it, not using it. And the reason for that is I was caught up with trying to recoup as much as that $695 annual fee as possible by using up all these credits, that I was going to end up spending more, because then I was going to have to take a trip to Vegas or somewhere else to use the $200. Then I was going to spend more out of pocket by getting to Vegas just to go use it. So, I just think sometimes it's okay to not use up all the credits, like just really take a step back and think about it. Does it make sense to do whatever you have to do to get that statement credit back, because you might end up spending more. And I think that's the purpose of all these credits, right? To, at the end of the day, make us spend more money on these credit cards.
Yeah, I agree with Miguel 100%. I'm still looking for somewhere to use my statement credit for the Fine Hotels and Resorts. And some hotels, if you go to Vegas, you're going to get a good value for your money. But outside of Vegas, here in Miami, the places that we already planned to go to, I haven't found a good way to use it where I'm not spending more than the value of it. I also have a funny story. When I first started with American Express, I didn't understand the difference between the business card and the personal card. And so I booked Fine Hotels and Resorts using the business card, and I waited like 15 days, and I called American Express and was like, what happened to my credit? And the lady was like, sorry, ma'am, that's only on the personal card. So make sure you use the right credits for the right cards.
So just to go over this, and I think Mitch has covered this in a prior episode of how this works, but it's for prepaid stays for hotels that you book through American Express Travel that fall under either the fine hotels and resorts with a minimum of one night, or the hotel collection, which are other, maybe sometimes cheaper hotels, but for that one you need a 2-night minimum, and then it comes with all these benefits and that Mitch covered before.
Yeah, Miguel. So I actually just used my Fine Hotels and Resorts credit in Santiago at the Ritz-Carlton down there. And I kind of agree these credits can sometimes be a bit of a headache to use. But actually, this was a huge win for me using this credit there because the room rate was about $230. So I got 200 of that back, and I got the $100 property credit, and then I got the free breakfast. And they were really kind. They let us check in super early, and they didn't make us check out till 4 o'clock the next day. So yeah, some of these credits can be hard to use. And I feel like you got to do a lot of homework if you want to use them properly or try to get really good value out of them. But if you really search and you really dig around and you're really determined, you'll be able to find a really good use for that credit. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah, you could definitely get good value on some stays, but I think the best way to do that is to try to find a stay that is as close to $200 as possible so you spend less out of pocket. What about you, Nicole? What do you got this week?
All right, so I'm playing the Hyatt bingo game, and I have a stay coming up in Chicago, and I wanted to stay at the Ambassador Hotel because I heard that is a really nice Hyatt hotel. But there's also a Hyatt brand. I'm not talking about a Hyatt Regency or a Hyatt Centric, just a plain, good old fashioned Hyatt that is close to the airport in Chicago. We're only there for a layover for the night. And I'm wondering, does it make sense to stay at this Hyatt that probably could be a little shady? And that's my MO. I don't mind staying at a shady hotel to get a little bit of a reward? Or should I splurge on this other hotel in the city center? So one at the airport is 8,000 points and the Ambassador is 18,000 points. What would you guys do? Would you go for the bingo? Would you risk it for the biscuit? Or would you stay at the nicer hotel?
What time does your flight come in on that day?
We get in at 10 and our flight the next day is at 6 p.m.
Yeah, well, I would say if you're not going out at night, then I would just, since it's a late flight, I would just stay by the airport and then go do what you got to do the rest of the day in the city.
So just to kind of explain a little bit what Nicole is saying is she's playing the Hyatt bingo game. So what Hyatt offers is every time that you stay 5 nights at one of their properties or their brands, you get a free night certificate for a category 1 through 4. So that's what you're talking about, right, Nicole?
Yes. So I have 9 stays in 9 different Hyatt brands. And this additional stay would earn me a free night certificate that I could use at a Hyatt category 1 through 4 hotel.
If the hotels are just about the same quality, the breakfast you find out is quite similar, getting that 10th night for your free night certificate might be worth it.
What I would also say to you, too, Nicole, is when you get that 10th night, and I know you know this, but this is just kind of for everyone else, is you want to make sure that you have a plan kind of for that certificate, because when you get these certificates, they're only good for 6 months. They're not good for the 12. So when you earn that, you have 6 months from the time that you earn it to use it. So you want to make sure that you have a really solid plan for that certificate that you're going to earn.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think people realize what the expiration date is on these certificates. And you can only earn this bingo game once in a lifetime. So they don't replenish and start over again. So I could play the long game on this one for sure.
But they have added a lot of brands, especially with all the all-inclusives in Mexico and the Caribbean. So I think they're up to 26 different brands now. So, that's a potential of 5 free nights if you stay at each of the different brands. I think I'm also at 9, by the way.
All right. Mitch, what do you think? I think this should be an Instagram poll. Should we stay at Hyatt or should we stay at the Ambassador Hotel?
I think it's a great idea. Serena, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea too. So look out for our Instagram story. We will put a poll on there and then you can weigh in and let Nicole know what you think she and her family should do. So I'm going to be talking about lounge access now, and you'll see that a lot of points and miles influencers like to talk about their lounge access. You'll see reels of them drinking and eating in lounges. And I'm here to say that it's not overrated. I love lounge access. So I was just in an airport. We had an early morning flight, so we missed breakfast at the hotel. We needed food, and I wasn't prepared because we had just gotten off a flight the night before. There were no grocery stores or convenience stores in the area, so I couldn't shop for anything ahead of time. So I was at the mercy of the airport food pricing when we got to the airport that morning. We went into one of those shops and we got a few of those to-go sandwiches that were wrapped in plastic, salads, some drinks, and my husband and my kids paid for it. I'm always outside, waiting for them. And my daughter comes out to me and she says, "That was $75." And I said, "No, it wasn't." She said, "Yeah, it was." So I look at the receipt and it was $75 and I was shocked. So there was a chocolate milk that was $6. There's a Gatorade that was $5. And if I were there with my kids, I would have told them to put it back. But, my husband doesn't do that. He just buys it for them. There was a sandwich that was $15. The salad was $16. It just adds up. And so at that moment, I was so thankful about all the times that we were allowed to sit in the lounge and save money and then eat all we wanted and drink all we wanted. So I wanted to talk about how you could get lounge access. There are many credit cards that come with lounge access. The Centurion and the Priority Pass are the most popular ones. Priority Pass also has the restaurant benefit if you have the Sapphire Reserve or the Ritz card. If you have a business class or first class ticket, that is another way to get into a lounge. If you have elite status with an airline, that can sometimes get you into a lounge. And then sometimes you can buy a day pass, and that could end up being cheaper than what you might spend for food and drinks in the terminal. So it's been a long time since I've had to buy food in an airport terminal, and lesson learned, I am not going to do that again. I'm going to be prepared next time, either with lounge access or, I'm going to buy food outside the airport next time, because I'm so grateful for lounge access.
Yeah, I agree, Serena, because we were recently in Melbourne and the cost of the food in the terminal, these prices were absolutely ridiculous. And lucky for us, we had the Chase Priority Pass and there was a couple of restaurants in the terminal. Paul and I, we went and we got this Italian meal with pasta and meatballs. It was absolutely delicious and it saved us probably $50 or $60 for having dinner there at the airport. You're absolutely right. The costs at the airport for vending and concession, it's just through the roof right now.
That was one of the draws for my first credit card, was the lounge access. I had the Venture X, and in Fort Lauderdale, one of our home airports, there is no Priority Pass lounges, but there is a restaurant. So when they took that away, it was soul crushing. So that's one of the reasons we got the American Express, because there's an escape lounge there in the Fort Lauderdale airport. But I understand where you're coming from, Serena, to have to, first, number one, never send dad to buy food again.
Oh gosh, sometimes mommy needs a break and just wants to stay outside and wait for them.
Well, those breaks will cost you.
You're so right. Mommy needs to be more involved.
But yeah, I agree 100%. It does add up. And we're talking, if you traveled twice, that's $150. And so the cost of the annual fee, most of these cards are subsidized by the benefits that you receive. So it is definitely worth it.
Yeah, not overrated at all.
Yeah, well, I think I talked about it in a prior episode. But that's what lounge access is what got me into this credit card thing, because I was invited to a lounge once and I wanted to do it for myself. So that's how I started this, because lounge access. There's a couple cards that are good to kind of get your feet in the door as far as lounge access. If there is a priority pass at your airports or where you're going to be traveling, that really people don't really talk about. But there's a Hilton Surpass card. I think it's about $100 annual fee. And that one comes with 10 passes for priority pass per year. So, if you divide that by the 10 passes, you're pretty much paying $10 per entry for a priority pass access. So I think that's pretty good benefit of that card. And then the American Express Green Card, it's $150 annual fee. And that one actually comes with a $100 Lounge Buddy credit. So you can buy day passes on this app called Lounge Buddy and then get reimbursed $100 of that. So that's another good way to kind of try out to see if priority pass is something for you.
So for the cost of one chocolate milk, you could get lounge access.
Yeah,
exactly. Isn't that ridiculous? Gosh.
Our math teacher breaking it down for us.
I know.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about timeshare vacation packages. And what this is, it is a discounted stay at a hotel or a resort for a fraction of the price. But the thing about this is that you have an important agreement. If you're married or your partner, if you're living together, must attend a meeting. Usually it's around 90 minutes to 2 hours long. And if this is not done and you have the stay, you will be liable for the full cost of the stay. So it's very important to be responsible if you are purchasing a timeshare vacation package. These packages are discounted for people to try the resort and buy a timeshare. There are 3 brands that my husband and I that we prefer to use. The first one is called Hilton Grand Vacations. The package that we have booked in August is for 4 days and 3 nights at the Hilton Grand Vacations Club Elara in Las Vegas. So for this package, we paid $169.17 and we'll be getting 150,000 Hilton points in addition to this. So this package that we purchased was purchased as a Park City package to go to Park City, Utah. But the location did not work out for us this year. So I called recently and asked them to change the location, and they're willing to do that. And what works out really great is that we are pairing this timeshare vacation package up with a trip that we are going to be going to the Maldives. So we'll be heading out from Hawaii to Las Vegas, and then we don't know what city in between that, and then we're going to head off to the Maldives. The second package is called a Wyndham's Vacation Resorts package. The Wyndham's Vacation Resorts package is sold by Wyndham. And for example, we have 3 packages that we had purchased this year. And just so you can get an idea of what is a good amount of points compared to how much money that you want to spend on the package. The first package that we purchased costs us $149. We'll be getting 30,000 points for that. And it's a 4 days and 3 nights at a location of our choice. The next package was $199. We'll be getting 15,000 points, and that will be 4 days and 3 nights. And the third package that we purchased was $149 and 30,000 points. And this is for a 4-day, 3-night stay in Anaheim, California. Now, the thing about the Wyndham Vacation Resorts packages is that they come with very high fees. They are not like the Hilton vacation packages. So that's important to do your research first and choose the location that has the lowest fees. The next type of vacation package is called the Marriott Vacation Club. We have done a day package with this. Miguel posted the other day about a great virtual presentation that Marriott was giving out 50,000 points. And I think he has one of those booked for himself and his wife to attend. So there are some really great deals you can get with the Marriott Vacation Club. There's also the Hyatt Residence Club. Now, this is another one that doesn't really interest us because it costs more money to attend these presentations, and the locations that are offered are not very interesting to us, and the Hyatt points are easy to get, so we don't need to do any of these stays. My biggest tip, if you're going to purchase one of these packages, is to be kind and patient, negotiate your offer. These negotiations need to be done before you pay for your package. They can be added on after, but it's very difficult to get anything changed once the package is purchased. Things that you can negotiate for are Visa gift cards, $100 Visa gift cards, $200 Visa gift cards, on-site vouchers for food, microwave, free parking, an upgraded room, a rental car, more points, a lower price, and even adding on a night for the same price that you're already paying. Next is, how can you get these types of packages? Well, you can search online for them. You can make a free account for the brand you want to stay at and sign up for their newsletter. This way you can get the offers in your email. Also, check your hotel account in your app for any offers that may be in there. Also, call the companies I mentioned or fill out an online form to get your name on their call list. Just remember not to answer the phone when they call if you're not ready to purchase. Follow Instagram Points and Miles creators as well, as they post a lot of deals just like Miguel did the other day. Also, if anyone that you know is a timeshare owner, they receive further discounted prices on packages. If you call the normal Hilton hotel phone line, at the end of your call, the agent will offer some points for you to listen to a salesperson who will try to sell you one of these packages, and you can buy one. Also, if you're staying at one of these hotel brands, look for the sales desk in the lobby. People will be selling these packages there. At certain shopping malls, these companies also have kiosks, and the packages are sold here. My biggest warning to you is that with Hilton, you can only purchase one package at a time. You're going to be sold 2 at certain times. They will still call you even if you own one. But if you purchase a second one, your most recently purchased package will be canceled when they find out that you own 2. So good luck to you if you're going to be going on this adventure. And if you have any questions, put it down in our YouTube comments or contact us on Instagram, and we'd be all happy to help you out.
All right, Kehaulani, I got a question for you right now.
Okay.
In life, in general, I am one of those people that are easily guilted, and I'll probably buy it. So what is your best tip for me if I've never done one of these timeshare presentations ever?
Stop now.
Barbara Bush said it best. Just say no.
Yeah, don't go.
What is your best tip for someone that has never been to a timeshare presentation of how to actually get through one of these things and say no?
You need to make up your mind before you go. Like, we stand there in front of the mirror and we're like, we're going to say no. Yeah, we're going to say no. We like pep ourselves up. Even though So I think that if you know that you're not going to say no, just don't go to it. Don't buy it because it's not worth it.
The maintenance fees, the ongoing monthly maintenance fees that they charge, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So Mitch, one thing I've heard, and I haven't tried it myself yet, but one thing I've heard from people who do like the points and miles thing is to set a timer, first of all, for your 90 minutes. Say my 90 minutes are up, but that you tell them, hey, I travel with points, so I don't have the need for this. They actually I didn't really attend a timeshare presentation, but I was at a hotel in Mexico and they're like, hey, do you want a free massage or something? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I didn't know what it was. And it was like, oh, it's a timeshare thing. But I ended up telling him, hey, I just travel using points and miles. Like, I really don't use money for travel. So I have no need for it because that's not my travel style. And they just left me alone and gave me my free spa treatment.
So Miguel, there are some really good tips out there. And one that I was reading is that some of these people, and this would probably work for all of you as well, is to take your kids along to these timeshare. And I can only imagine what type of plans that you could make to use your kids in the timeshare presentation right away.
Exactly. Take your kids, have them cause a ruckus. Don't be a good parent. Let them run all over the place and take all the little snacks. They usually have a snack wall.
Yeah.
Have them just take all the snacks and then eat it all and then, cause a mess. That'll end shortly.
I need to borrow one of your guys' sets of kids so I can actually use one to go to this timeshare presentation.
You need to take them for at least a week.
Yeah, it's really important when you go in there not to ask a lot of questions. It's just, yeah. And they end up making friends with the person. It's a really nice experience until the second guy comes in or lady. That's the hard seller. And they guilt trip and kind of do their thing. And you just tell them no. And if you don't want it, and it's fine.
So I had two friends who went to a timeshare presentation. They were firm about saying no, but then somehow they got swindled into signing on the dotted line. And then my friend's husband was signing and he's looking at her, his wife, and saying, are we doing the right thing? He's signing. But, they usually give, I don't know, a certain number of days where you can back out of it. But it's just easier to just say no and just not sign anything. Get your freebies and leave.
All right, so I think I may try one of these timeshare presentations, and I'm going to channel my inner Kehaulani, and I'm going to consult you before I actually go to one of these on the best practices on how to say no. How does that sound?
Sounds great, Mitch. I got you.
Okay, perfect. I trust you. I believe in you. Thank you, Kehaulani. All right, thanks, everyone. It's time to move things along and get to our weekly recap. Okay, it's time for our weekly recap. We're always busy booking trips and learning insider lessons, and this is the segment where we share those stories with you. So let's get started with Miguel. Last week, you had talked about making a decision for your upcoming trip to Asia, and you were kind of torn between a Hyatt and a Marriott because the points weren't going to be there for Hyatt. So everyone's kind of curious, which one are you going to go with? And did you book something else?
So I wanted to stay at the Park Hyatt because, like Nicole, I'm doing the Hyatt Brand Explorer, the Hyatt Bingo, and I've never stayed at Park Hyatt, so I wanted to try that out. But I wasn't sure if the points were going to be in my account by the time the trip came around. But the points finally hit my account a few days ago. I was able to send a Twitter message and asked them to apply the points and then also apply a suite upgrade award to the Park Hyatt. So I was able to cancel the JW Marriott in Seoul. And I'm pretty excited about this trip because I've probably been talking about it every episode, right? But I finally finished booking all the flights. So the one I was missing was the Seoul to Tokyo flight because nothing was available with points. I'd been looking, on all the carriers and there was nothing. Because I need 3 tickets and I would find 1 or 2, but I needed a specific day. And there was a lot of, low cost carriers. I was going to have to just go that route and probably pay extra to select my seats and the baggage fees and all that. But I finally checked a few days ago again, and I was able to book ANA in economy from Seoul to Tokyo for only 8,000 points per person and about $50. Now, the same flight in cash would be about $200, which is more expensive. There are cheaper ones, but then you would, once you add on all the extra fees, it'd probably end up about the same. So I booked the ANA flight in economy for 8,000 points. So I'm pretty excited that all the flights are booked and ready to go.
Did you use ANA miles for that?
So I actually booked it with Air Canada. I could have booked it with a few different programs, but the cheapest one was Air Canada. They do have the transfer bonus, but I already had Air Canada points, Air Canada Airplane points in my account, so I didn't really need to transfer for this. I already had some in there.
So, Miguel, I hope your luck or your juju rubs off on me, because I have been chasing this flight and I'm hoping maybe by the time I need it in December, I'll be able to reprice and get the flight I've been looking for. So this week, I think I've dedicated about 5 hours of my life to American Airlines. I am looking for this flight from Miami to Dubai, and I see it populate on the AA website. And every time I go to buy, it tells me flight is not available. So I think I have been bitten by the phantom flight syndrome. Now, there are about 15 different flights with the price that I'm looking for, and none of them are available. I let it go for a while, and then yesterday I saw it pop up again, but for an extra $50, we could get premium economy. I was like, yes! I spent 3 separate hours with 3 different agents, one on Twitter, one on the AA messaging, and one on the phone. And every time they get my credit card, they hang up the phone on me. Today, she finally got my credit card number, and one of the legs is from Doha to Dubai. And she's like, everything's great, except that leg. It looks like Qatar is not releasing that flight. And I was like, we just spent an hour together, lady. I know you have 2 kids. I know what school they go to. Like, that's how close we are after this conversation. Long story short, the flight's no longer available. But when you look online, it's there to purchase. So my dilemma is I already have a credit and it doesn't allow me to put it on hold. So I can pay cash for this flight and watch my credit, dwindle away and not use it, or just hope and pray that your juju rubs off on me and maybe closer to the time the flight's about to leave that I can find something then.
If you use the AA chat feature during business hours, you'll get some really good help on there. You can even buy tickets and put your credit card in the chat and purchase a ticket. But if you use the chat during non-business hours, you're getting overseas help. So they're not as good as looking at flights. Maybe that would help.
So I'm holding out hope that I'm going to find the perfect ticket at the perfect price point. So Kehalani, is this what you mentioned sometime last week about transferring points before you knew what you were going to do with them? Is that kind of what you did with your Virgin Atlantic points?
Kind of, sort of. But I do have a plan, what I'm going to do with it, but there aren't any tickets available right now. So what I did was, a few weeks ago, there was a 30% transfer bonus from American Express to Virgin Atlantic. And I had been waiting for this to come back because it's been a while since this awesome transfer bonus was available. And I knew that I wanted to purchase business class tickets for myself and my husband to either go to Japan from the US or do something from Japan back to Hawaii, or Japan to India, or Japan over to Europe. So we speculatively transferred 137,000 American Express membership rewards points to Virgin Atlantic, and we ended up having 178,000 Virgin Atlantic points. And another thing we plan to do with these points is possibly go on a cruise. So there was just an awesome cruise special that I'm not sure if it's available right now, but we decided not to do it because the time frame did not work for us. Virgin Atlantic was selling their cruise. Serena mentioned it in the past episode, and it was 80,000 points for 2 people for a 7-day cruise. And we were thinking about doing this, but the special ended in August. The time frame did not work for us. So we're going to hang on to the points in there, let it sit, and possibly do that cruise. But the thing is that the other day on TikTok, I saw some people posting about the Virgin Atlantic cruise, and it looked kind of wild. So it's a little bit different from when you went on it right after COVID. So that is one of the main reasons why I said earlier that I hate cruises and I'm not going on one. So actually the points may still just be in our account and we're going to use it for something else. But there's so many things we can use those points for. So I'm not worried at all.
Kealani, you don't like wild? I think you
Wow.
got a wild side.
Wild's fun, but with crowds and people, it's like,
All right, Kehaulani. So is that the ultimate decision? No cruise. You're not going to use your points for the cruise.
we're still thinking about it. We're going to stay off TikTok and not look it up, and we'll let you folks know what we choose.
I think that's some pretty solid advice. Stay off TikTok. I think we could all use that. All right. Thanks, everyone. I love this part of the show, and I love hearing what you all have booked and learned. It's now time for us to move on to Ask Us.
Hey, everyone. My name is Sharon. I'm from Portland, and I've recently gotten into your YouTube podcast, and I really love it. I think it's great. My question is, I'm really new to points and miles, so I'm curious if there's a starter card you might recommend and any pitfalls I should watch out for. Thanks.
All right, gang, let's first all welcome Sharon to the Travel Hacking Credit Card Club and start her initiation off with some very solid advice that she is seeking. Nicole, you're a high school math teacher. You are a professional at this. What are you going to tell Sharon?
Sharon, my advice is to go with the Capital One Venture X. Remember this number, 0 or less than 0. So with the Capital One Venture X, you're going to pay an annual fee, but the credits that you receive are going to offset your annual fee. And you'll have one of Serena's favorite perks. You're going to get lounge access. I mean, no one wants to have to buy a $6 chocolate milk. So I would suggest that you look at the Capital One Venture X. How about you, Miguel?
I would say if that scares you a bit, because I could see, $395 seeming like a lot as you're starting out, I would say look into the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is $95 annual fee, or into the Venture Card, the $95 annual fee one, because both of those have a variety of different transfer partners, both airlines and hotels, that you have a lot of options to redeem your points for. They both also have an easy way to redeem the points, which is through their travel portals, which is an easy way to start redeeming your points and get decent value for them. What about you, Mitch? What do you think?
Yeah, Sharon, for me, it's all about the return on my investment. And I've talked about this several times before, but my goal for every dollar that goes out of my pocket, I want 2 of something back, 2 cents, 2 points, 2 miles, 2 something. That is my minimum goal. There's a couple of cards that you can do that with, like Nicole just talked about, the Venture X. But for me, I love the American Express Gold Card. And because we get 4 points for every dollar in grocery and dining, that is just the best card to have and to start out with. And I think you'll do really well with that. So you may want to give that one a look. It's the American Express Gold Card. Kehaulani, what are you going to tell Sharon?
Aloha, Sharon. I think there are a couple choices that you could go with. The City Premier, a Barclays card, or the Capital One Venture X. And I say those 3 card types because those 3 cards are difficult to get once you start getting more cards. These card issuers look at how many hard inquiries you've had on your account. So if you start getting a lot of inquiries on your account, even if your credit score is at 750 or even at 800, Barclays may not approve you for a card. The other card I also suggest is one of the Chase cards, the one Miguel mentioned, or a business card, because that doesn't affect a thing called 524. So we need to know if you have a business or not. Seems kind of confusing, but look at the annual fees and go from there with the cards we're all mentioning as well. How about your advice, Serena? What do you think?
So, Sharon, you have a lot of great suggestions here with cards to get. I'm going to talk about a pitfall to watch out for since you asked that. So, this hobby can be very addicting. And once you drink the juice, and it tastes so good, you're going to want it more. One of the things that you should be careful of is to make sure you can meet the minimum spend on these cards. If you have upcoming expenses, make sure you time your applications right so that you can put those expenses on this card. When I first started out, I went a little crazy. I opened 3 cards at once and I ended up not being able to meet the minimum spend on one of those cards. So try not to go too crazy, go slow, and take it easy as you're opening new cards.
That is some great advice, Serena. You got to make sure you watch out for those pitfalls before you sign up for new cards and getting into this. So that's very solid advice. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sharon, for sending us your question. If you'd like to ask a question or join in on the show, drop us a line on any one of our social media channels, or you can email us at letsgettothepoints@gmail.com and we'll feature your question right here. All All right, before we wrap up, we recently did an Instagram story asking for your questions that you want our team to answer. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, look for the questions on the screen and we will go around and each of us will give our best short, quick response. All right, guys, here we go. Alan Boy wants to know, do you keep status with hotel airlines or try new hotels? Miguel.
Yeah, I think most of the status that I have with hotels, so I have Hyatt Globalist, Marriott Titanium, and Hilton Gold, is due to some type of promotion or a shortcut. I don't really travel enough with one particular airline or stay at one particular hotel chain to earn that organically. So most of it is just because of promotions. And I do like to try new hotels. What about you, Nicole?
I'm Hyatt through and through. This is my first year having Hyatt Globalist, and I enjoy it very much. And I agree with you. It's hard to maintain it organically, and I earned it through a promotion. And this year I got it through Built promotion again. So staying there and enjoying that status, it's hard to find use for another status. I think last year I purchased the IHG ambassador status, and I still haven't been able to use it yet. So for me, I like trying new hotels, but within the same brand. How about you, Kehalani? You like to try new hotels, don't you?
Yeah, we like to try new hotel brands. We have status with like all the major hotel brands except for Choice. We wanted to try IHG this year, so we also have Ambassador, just like Nicole does, because we were planning to get some of those credit cards because they had high offers, but we ended up not trying it because we chose other credit cards. But it's good to try other brands of hotels just to see what their program is like, because there are a lot of changes going on right now within a lot of these hotel programs. So it could be really good to try something new. How about you, Serena?
So I don't chase airline status, and with hotels, I stick with Hyatt and Hilton. There are some times when I may want to try a new hotel if there's something exceptional about it. Like, for example, my recent stay in Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. That was something that I wanted to experience. And with that, I tried to do what I could to hack it as much as possible to reduce the expenses for it. And you, Mitch?
Yeah, Polrit and I, we are lifetime platinum with Marriott. And if I'm being very honest, that doesn't really affect our decision about staying at a Marriott property or not. In fact, Marriott, it's probably the last property that we actually look at these days just because the program has gotten so bad, even with our lifetime status. And so for us, it's all about not only the Hyatt, but the Park Hyatt. And then we'll kind of fill in all the gaps around that. All right, next Instagram question comes from Kisa Marie. And they ask, where do you all want to go in the next 3 to 5 years? Miguel.
The next 3 to 5 years, I don't know. Like everywhere. So there's a
That's a good answer.
And Miguel will get there in 3 to 5 years.
He will.
So I prefer like off the beaten path destinations and stuff. Honestly, I'd love to be able to go to like Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, Socotra specifically. So yeah, I mean, I like that kind of stuff. So what about you, Nicole?
Southeast Asia for me. I've always had it on the top of my list to go there. Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam. Those are definitely places I want to visit soon. How about you, Kehalani?
I'm thinking Africa, and that just came to my mind because Serena mentioned it in the last show about a wonderful new Marriott over there, and it looks amazing, and it's all inclusive, and it includes foods and other types of things. How about you, Serena?
So for me, a long-term dream is I would love to scuba dive with the hammerhead sharks in the Galapagos. And you, Mitch?
Yeah, we've really been looking into Antarctica, and there's some cruises that you can do. We're not sure if that's the route we're going to take. We've seen some really super expensive ones, like the $30,000 to $40,000 range. We're still researching the points and miles options, but we're going to try to make that happen within the next 3 to 5 years. So good question there. All right, final Instagram question. Yimpy sent us, how do I get my resistant P2 on board? Miguel.
Don't let them know. Just you have all their information. No, really. So I'd probably suggest, taking them on some of these trips, let them experience, what a nice premium cabin flight is like, or a nice luxury hotel where you paid little to nothing, and have them see the fruits of this this hobby, and then I'm sure they'll climb on board because they can be like, hey, let's do this again. Okay, well, you need to get a card. What about you, Nicole? What do you think?
I would definitely go with telling them first, but 100% agree. Plan a trip, show them the ability that points and miles has, and just kind of spoil them a little bit, and then take them to the terrible hotel. No, I'm just joking. Basically, just show them what it can do. And I think, it might take a little more greasing the wheels, but once they realize that you're able to do this for little and nothing, and we could do twice as much with a team, then I think you should be able to convince them. Kehalani, what do you think?
I think first, agree on a credit card. Hopefully that card will be a Chase card. Take your points, send them over to somebody who's a globalist. Ask them to book you a type of hotel that you have never stayed at, that you could just dream about. Book that hotel. Bring your player two along. Show them the suite upgrade that you're going to get. Hopefully you'll get one. Take them to the free breakfast. And at the end of the stay, bring out the bill and it will say 0 on it. It will be blank. And I think they'll be convinced. How about you, Serena?
So after sitting and sleeping in a lie flat seat for 10 plus hours, I don't think anybody has ever said, I think I'd rather pay for coach. So I think the seeing, the feeling, the experiencing is how it's going to work. And you, Mitch?
Yeah, I am a huge believer in the term baptism by fire. So I'm going to give you the perfect game plan here, Yimpy. First, you go ahead yourself. You get all the credit cards that you want under your name. You book a fabulous trip for you and your P2. Then, for that return part of that trip, you book the worst possible coach flight seat that you can get. I'm talking like full plane, middle seat in the back next to the lavatories.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is where you're going to have to take one for the team.
And it doesn't recline either.
Because we already know you're on board with all of this. But if sitting in the back next to the lav for a 6+ hour flight in coach, going home after having this dream trip does not change the mind of your P2, then my advice, it's time to find a new P2. That's what I have to say to you.
Those are fighting words.
Back of the aircraft, you got to be next to the lavatory. That is the key portion of this to change the mind of your P2. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. All right. Thanks, everyone. These question answers, they're always fun. And we want to thank everyone for asking them. I think maybe since Yimpy asked us a really great question, maybe we should go more in depth next week about P2. What do you all think about that?
It's a good idea.
Sounds great.
It's a game changer.
All right. I think we got some deep secrets we can talk about our P2s and P3s and all of that. So next week, how about we go more in depth about all of that? And we're really going to dive into that and have a great conversation. That sounds great, right, gang?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Sounds great.
All right, we're going to do it. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram and jump into the next question poll as well. That's it for now. I want to thank all of our hosts, Serena from Passion for Points.
Bye.
Kehalani from Points to Travel Expert.
Aloha.
Miguel from The Travel Sergeant. Nicole from Nicole's Travel Tips.
See you next week.
And I'm Mitch Shannon from Seat to a Suite. Please go to like and subscribe to this audio and video podcast wherever you find us on social media. Thanks for watching and listening. Look for our next episode soon.